A few years ago, YouTube was just something that I was experimenting with while working my 9 to 5 job. And honestly, I didn't expect that slowly it would change my life the way it did. You see, guys, I remember back then when I was in university and I was always there playing football, and I got my Xbox and I was playing FIFA. And I was so good at it that I eventually wanted to record it, put it on YouTube. So I bought this Elgato screen capture, uh, and I connected to my computer along with connected to the Xbox, and it helped me to record. And so I started to make FIFA videos and playing FIFA and started my YouTube channel. And I remember when I got my first 1,000 subscriber, how I felt so good, like I'm a YouTuber now. And yeah, it just feels so good at that time, to reach 1,000 subscriber. Even until this day, this channel is somewhere on YouTube and those videos. And I remember people were getting, when YouTube people were just starting to monetize their channel. And I wanted to monetize mine too. And living in Jamaica at that time, it wasn't possible. And so I eventually kind of like give up on the idea about YouTube because I thought that, yeah, I could create a YouTube channel in Jamaica, but I couldn't do more. Just views and what? I didn't know the power of it, right? I didn't even know the power of having subscribers and then having an audience, and that I could even monetize my channel without even the use of AdSense. Otherwise, I would have kept it. But, anyways, fast track. After a couple of years, I moved to Czech Republic. I moved to Europe, guys, and one thing lead to the next couple of years after being in, I had some financial problems, and I started to think, how could I make some extra money on the side? And at first, I just decided to get a second job. I got a second job working in an hotel where I was just, doing a few nights here and there to make some extra income because the money that I was getting from my day to day job wasn't enough. It was just paying all the bills, taking care of food, everything, and I just left with nothing at the end of the month. And so I wanted to have a little bit of breathing income to have in my pocket. And so I did that job. But it was very tiring because can you imagine working a 12-hour shift? And can you imagine had a 9 to 5 job at that time? And few nights I would just do that work at the hotel. And then I finish like around 7 a.m. And then by 8, I had to go to work. And so I had to go to my next job. Good thing they even have a shower that I could freshen up. And sometimes I will freshen up at the hotel before I move to my next job. And very often I was finding myself like even trying to fall asleep in the job. It was difficult. And for what? Just a few penny? Well, at that time it was very worth it because I had a little bit of brain room. But I know that it wasn't gonna sustain long term. And so I've tried so many things in between that time, trying to do drop shipping, trying to do so many things, right? Other jobs, try YouTube again, that even failed at the time. Try to create a blog, and of course I didn't stick with that because I was really impatient. I wanted something to work right away that could put money in my pocket, and I just didn't have that patience. And so, I eventually had some success with YouTube, but it wasn't long term. I remember started a channel or a few channels I started, which I was making these motivational videos where I was taking clips here and there and piece them together, make motivational videos. I even started a channel that I was doing cinematic videos, drone videos, but I was getting those stock footages and making those videos. And I really loved that project. I still have those videos today somewhere, but I really love that project. It was very interesting. But again, I wasn't able to monetize that channel because of stock footage or whatever. YouTube didn't accept me into the partner program. While the one for the motivational videos that got monetized really fast. But that channel got hit very fast. As soon as the channel started to blow up, I got hit by repetitive content and I got demonetized. So that wasn't sustainable. Of course, I got demotivated again. And I took a couple months off from YouTube and I said I was not going to do that. In the meantime, I was just working 12-hour shift. I was working as a tech support and I was working 4 days, 4 days off, then 4 nights. That was very demanding. But within the 4 days off gap, I wanted to do something. And eventually, I remember my mom used to contact me and she was always asking me, hey, can you help me with this? Or people used to ask me, my mom and my sister, others, right? They used to ask me how to do this, how to do that. And one day it just hit me like, maybe I could start a channel teaching people how to do something. But that idea just quickly just get out of my mind. Like, it just totally went away because when I started to think about it, I said to myself, but I'm not an expert. Who would watch my videos? And so I didn't see that, I didn't see the way how I could make a tutorial channel and people would watch it. But, I remember one evening, I was walking, actually, I was walking around the realm right there. It's a nice area where you can walk and skate. And I was pushing my son, a newborn son, in a stroller, walking, and it just hit me that I need to do another YouTube channel. I need to give it another shot and I need to be involved. I need to be a part of this. I need to be able to speak and to share. That's what's gonna give me that feeling again that I'm a YouTuber. Not to make some video clips, piece them together and put together, but I need to be involved. I need to be authentic and I need to be involved. That's how I'll be able to defeat this whole repetitive content. I'm gonna be natural and I just need to stick with it. And I've decided to give it a go again. I've created a tutorial channel and I start to think what I can do and know it just opened my eyes and I start to search for tutorial channels and I realized that there are so many of them, so many channels out there. And one thing lead to the next. I started to watch what they're doing, do it my way, and make a video. And from making 3 videos per week to 5 videos a week. And the journey continues from there. And so, guys, that's where I felt like, yes, this is something that I could do by realizing that there were so many channels out there. And especially what gives me that extra boost of motivation is when I discovered that there were multiple channels out there making thousands of dollars per month. And their views were like few views here, few views there per video. And I realized that this is a numbers game. The amount of videos I could sustain over a longer period of time would eventually adds up and I'll be able to see the profit. Because when I just started, guys, I'm telling you, I wasn't so sure. I wasn't so motivated. I was kind of a little bit demotivated when I see nobody watching my videos. And after making 100 videos, I thought that I was going to blow up on YouTube. But that didn't happen. And I started to question if this is really the right thing to do. But give thanks, I've discovered channels such as Trevor Nace, Guide Rem, and many other channels out there. And I saw that they have thousands of videos, and I was like, what? Thousands? I will have to really make thousands of videos before, guys, before me being aware that people can make thousands of videos. I was thinking I need to make 100 videos to blow up on YouTube. And even at that time, making 100 videos was like a huge milestone for me to reach. Something that I think that I could do within a year. And after realizing that these guys were making thousands of videos. And I started to little bit get into it, starting to build a system that fits within my lifestyle that I can sustain to make these videos. That's when I realized that if I'm going to succeed on YouTube, it has to be for the long run. And I have to be patient. I have to be consistent. And I have to make a whole lot of videos, especially within the niche that I, let's say, discover and start to make my own. I have to make a whole lot of videos and I have to be able to sustain long term. And when I realized that, when I discovered that and realized that this is what I had to do, I got this tattoo. I don't know if you can see it, but I have this tattoo on my hand right here. I don't know if you're able to see it, but it basically says non drifter. And I got that tattoo on my arm just to say that over the years I've known myself. I've always tried something, and because I'm not patient enough, I always like jump to something else, jump to something else, jump to something else. And this make me realize that you can succeed at anything if you just stick with it long enough for it to become to fruition. For it to become successful, you will succeed at anything if you just stick with it for a longer period of time, and also you improve day by day, gradually over time. You will become, you will have achieved some kind of success. That's what I've realized in the early stage after making all of this discovery. And so by discovering all of this, it kind of gives me, it opens up my eyes. It gives me that confidence that, look, I have to be in YouTube for the long term, not just gonna expect some overnight success in a few months or just 1 year. I'm gonna blow up on YouTube and start to make all of that money, even though I was desperately in need of that money. But I realize that I have to be in it for the long term. I have to stay consistent. I have to develop this ownership mindset. I have to know build systems around this so that it can fit within my day-to-day life. Because I have a full-time job, I have a wife, I have a newborn son, and you just have to deal with everything else that life throws at you. So if I'm going to be consistent and to make thousands of videos, this has to fit seamlessly within my day-to-day life without really, you know, making me disappear from other aspects of my life. And trust me, guys, there were so many instances where my wife, especially in the beginning when I'm not making any money from YouTube, where my wife and other people around me question that, what am I just doing? I'm just sitting around my computer making videos. Nothing gonna come out of it. Honestly, in those times I really felt alone. When you have that feeling, what you're trying to build, and you're so focused and you're confident and you have hope, but people just can't vision and see outside of what you're doing because there's no result. And sometimes you feel like you don't have the space to work and to do what you want to. You can feel demotivated and you can feel not supported. But what do you do within that time? You really have to stay mentally strong to block out all of this, to see where you're going, have some kind of a direction, have some kind of a purpose, and you have to have that faith within yourself that you're going to do it. Trust me, it's a lonely road before success, and I would say after success as well, because you have to maintain this. Once you achieve some level of success, you're going to want to achieve a new level of success, and you are going to be the one who have to be responsible for ensuring that you do this. But of course, when you start to make money, you're going to attract people. People are going to not believe you that, yeah, you're doing something. But in the beginning, it's even worse because no money coming in, you're just a guy sitting around your computer playing with videos and on your computer, especially when they do have no idea what this is all about and what you can really achieve. You're just wasting time. Yeah. And so this leads me really to my next point, the most important thing that helps me to stay consistent. I had that burning desire, that feeling that I had to make a change with my life situation. And it was really about finances, to be honest. I realized that how much I was making from my day job was never going to cut the bill, especially when I had my son and have a wife, especially when you're a husband and you think, oh, eventually I would like to buy a home for my family. And you realize that the money that you're getting from your 9 to 5 job is barely can cover your monthly expenses. I felt like there was no hope. There was no hope in eventually achieving this. I will never be able to buy a home for my family. I will never, there's so many things. I remember, guys, that my wife, she had some savings. And she, when I don't know, if you have kids, you will know, especially when you're a woman. In the beginning, you want to buy all the things. You have the when they're pregnant, they want to have the perfect preparation of the home, the room, the things that you want to buy for kids, and so many things. And so we had a little bit of, she have a little bit of savings. And of course, she spent it. She spent it here, 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 buy this, buy that. And I don't have a kid. I didn't have any kid. I have no experience. So for me, all of these things were important too. So I didn't stop her. And till we realized we really don't have no much money and we have to be depending on how much the money you get from the government and how much money I'm getting from my job. And I'm not gonna lie, there were times when certain conversation comes up and it make me feel really uncomfortable. And I felt like I should have been saving more. I felt like I should have been preparing more. I felt like we shouldn't have done this, get a kid if we didn't have money to do it. But the truth is, guys, the harsh truth and reality is that can you ever be too prepared before you have a kid? When is that right moment? It's a difficult question because when you have money, you can say you can accommodate this, you can do things. But how many people out there in this world have a kid and they just don't have enough money? And trust me, I will look at this or at our situation, come and look at other people and see other people who have nothing and they have a kid and they're absolutely managing. So I wouldn't think that we or myself would not be able to manage. But when you're in that position, facing reality, facing life, it is difficult. It's difficult. And not to mention those sleepless nights and getting up in the middle of the night to take care of baby. That's a whole different topic with a newborn. But yeah, I faced some really uncomfortable situation that makes me really wanted to make that change, to earn more money. And of course, when I think about life after, you know, retiring, I look at how much am I gonna get for pension? Is that what I really want? Is that what I really want? Some of those childhood dreams that I have, want to buy this, want to have that. Am I ever gonna be able to do that? And especially when you look at your parents and you realize, especially, my dad was okay. My dad had his business and so forth before he died. And so I realized that my dad was more of an entrepreneur. But he always taught me you have to go for what you want. He taught me independence, basically. But my mom is always giving her all. That's something else, right? She always work and she will give her all, and my mom didn't even had the opportunity to buy a house for herself because she was always working and giving, always working and giving. And that's just the mindset of some people, right? But honestly, guys, it wasn't easy. Seeing all of these things played out in my life, it makes me realize this is not what I want from my life. And I had to do something. And I said to myself, one of the things that really struck me at a certain point when I said to myself, whoa, I'm going to get up and I'm going to work every single day for someone to make them rich. Of course, to get money that I can take care of my monthly expenses and all these things and to live. But if I can do that for someone, why can't I find a little time daily or even few days or even a little time per week to do something that could help me long term as well? That could help me to better my situation. That's when it really struck me that I have to do this. And that's these are some of the things that really face me and give me the strength to really stay consistent with YouTube. Honestly. Now, I want to talk more on the more positive side of what building a YouTube business or having a YouTube channel that starts to grow looks like. The doors, the opportunities that it actually opens up. And it does make you feel good. That's the first thing. It makes you feel like you're someone, you have somewhat of a success. It makes you meet people depending on the niche that you're in. On even when you have a tutorial based channel like myself, it opens up so many doors for partnerships, for brand deals, for product reviews, creating digital products, so many things, guys. And not to mention the passive income that you get, especially when you're involved within affiliate marketing and all this stuff. I remember one of my first sponsorship deals that I've got was to make a video for 2 minutes for $100. And I was like, oh my God, what? I can make $100 for basically recording a 2 minute video? Something that I do anyways? And that price just goes up and up and up. And that was mind blowing. And so these are just a tip of the iceberg of some of the things that you can really achieve, not to mention the income from YouTube AdSense from your videos. And it really teaches you a lot because when you start to grow, you have to also build systems, especially when you have to fit it within your lifestyle. And in my case, I still work my 9 to 5 job and I had to fit this within my lifestyle. So building systems, building, analyzing data, understanding YouTube, it feels like a whole another level. It's amazing, guys. There's so many opportunities there. And it's just beautiful when you put in the work how much you can actually achieve. But even though there is a beautiful side to this and you can achieve a lot and you can earn a lot, when you start to, let's say, expand your business or start new channels or start to scale your YouTube business, there's another level of stress that comes with that. And there's another level of burnout that comes with that. There's it's not easy. There's a whole new level of pressure that comes with that. And especially if you are going to increase and get more people to work with you, that's a whole nother level of pressure and responsibilities that you have on your shoulder. You have to think about salaries, you have to ensure that you are earning, you have to always ensuring that your business is moving and growing and earning because you depend on your business or your business depend on you, the employees depend on you, and especially if they're working 40-hour a week or something like that, that they can consider this to be their full-time job. You have to show up. And especially if income coming from your business now start to become a part of your life expense, you have to show up. Bills need to get paid, right? And so there's a whole lot. The mental stress that is there to be creative, to think about stuff. Family, you have to make the balance. You really have to make the business balance or the work balance, life balance. You have to find the balance for everything. But most importantly, I just want to let you know that it has its upside of, enjoyment and earning and achieving success from YouTube, but also there's a stress side to it that comes with it, and you have to find the balance within your life. And that's why it's really important for you to create systems so that it fits within your lifestyle seamlessly as much as possible. That's why you have to also consider at certain point to outsource certain tasks so that you can focus on more important things that will help your business to grow forward or to take the next step or to basically scale to a whole new level. Now, I want to wrap up this by sharing what did I learn over the last couple of years and really how YouTube changed my life. I have learned that YouTube, it does compound. And when I say compound, especially in my niche where I make tutorial videos where one video might get a few cents to a couple dollars, but the longer that the video is on YouTube, the more people watches it, the more money it earns. And you can imagine me. One of my channels have almost 10,000 videos and I have multiple channels across YouTube. And you can imagine 10,000 videos. Not all of them earn money, not all of them, let's say, make crazy money, but they all punch their different weights and they all adds up to something, some money. So you can imagine. And this is just the beginning. I have 10,000 videos. I publish right now 15, 20 videos per day in one of those channels. And eventually, when these videos will, let's say, index, start to get views, they become relevant, they're evergreen, they're going to be there for years to come. And they're compounding. So you can imagine the opportunities, the money that you can make. But this doesn't happen overnight, right? So you have to stick with it for a long time. You have to stick with YouTube long term to be able to reap those benefits or reap the reward. But YouTube does compound slowly, but surely the reward is sweet. Now, it leads me to my next point, which I'm sure you will all get it by now, that consistency matters. You have to stick with it over a long period of time, and you have to see YouTube as a long term project. See it as your business. That's why I treat YouTube as a business, because I know that if I treat it as a business, then I'm not going to look for overnight success. I'm looking to grow a business for years and years to come. And so if I see it from that perspective, I would say, okay, I'm not just going to imagine that I will be in it for 1, 2 years only and expect to become rich out of that. I will stick with it, and I will look to be, and I look to increase and to improve my business month by month, years by year, and so forth. And so if you treat it like a business, and you will tend to be consistent, and you know that you have to be consistent. And so that's going to help you to stick with it over a longer period of time with the right systems in place. And the last thing I really want to say, when I look back over the years that I've been doing YouTube, and I didn't start, I would say I seriously started YouTube because my first tutorial channel I started back in June 7th, 2023. And I monetized that channel March 20th, 2024. And so over the years, after starting so many channels, I've realized that building something long term really does change you. It teaches you a lot. And being consistent, building systems, it really does change you for the best, because it teaches you a lot about yourself, your mental strength, what you're capable of, how creative you can be, how persistent you can be, how independent you can be, especially in those times when you have no support, when you feel like you have to show up in spite of everything that is going on around in your lifestyle. You have to show up, and you show up. It really did teach me a lot. And I don't know about other creators, but I'm sure a lot of creators can attest to this, that especially if they are on YouTube for a long time and they have achieved some kind of success, the money alone is not this best or the sweetest thing that comes out of YouTube. It's what you evolve to be as a person. That's one of the most beautifulest thing that you can really value out of all of this. And for me, apart from the money, that's what I cherish the most, and that's what I really want to get through to you guys and to share about my journey so far on YouTube and how YouTube changed my life while working a 9 to 5 job. Hope you found some value in this, guys, and if you do, really appreciate that if you give this video a thumbs up. Thank you, guys, and see you in my next video.